Hello, everyone. I am Cleric of Madness, and this is my little podcast called Clerical Errors, where we talk about things in the Creepypasta and Creepypasta community. Today I have a special guest star, Beth. Say hello, Beth.
Hey there. Oh no, I didn't say hello. I failed already.
Nah, don't feel bad. I had to go watch one of my old videos right before we started recording to see if I did an intro because I'm really
Sure
bad.
did.
I'm really bad at what I do. I am patently bad at what I do. So the reason we're here today is to talk about some I would call them hilarious if they weren't so disappointing. Things that have been happening in the creepypasta community. They're the first one I want to talk about, and it all ties into art theft, and providing credit to the artists whose work you share. Actually, before we start, I just want to get this out there that yes, we at the Creepypasta Wiki have a problem. There's a lot of art that has been posted in the last 9 years, and I know when I started, I didn't think about this, and I don't think many people do when they're starting off a project of this caliber. But there are tens of thousands of images on that site, and almost none of them have proper attribution or credit, and that is something I am working on, trying to just figure out how I go about fixing that, because that's not the work for human hands. You've got to program a bot. You've got to actually. It's going to take so much work, and it's pretty much all of my fault because I didn't implement a good system for that in the beginning, because there really wasn't a consciousness about art and attribution surrounding the creepypasta community in the beginning, because it was just creepypasta was just something that people shared, and so were the images attached to them. Like the Jeff the Killer image. Today, you have almost no idea where that came from. I do. I spent a long time looking. It comes from some, I want to say Japanese website. I can trace it back. I don't have my notes. I never, if you've watched a lot of these clerical errors, all 4 other ones of them, I will I will always say I'd never have my notes, except for that one time I did. But yeah, no, there really wasn't a conscious effort to preserve attribution or to assign a name to things. That's why a lot of the popular original creepypastas don't have authors that are known, and you have to really go digging to try to find them. And it's a problem. It's a systemic problem that has been there from the start. So maybe it's not completely my fault, but I am complacent in a system that has set the tone of creepypasta and the medium and artwork thereof in a way that credit is really not given. Mostly because it was anonymous, but also because it was just the consciousness of the medium. Back in the 2010s, the early part of this decade, there wasn't attribution, there wasn't all of that. It wasn't until the last couple of years that people really started attaching names to works. Even in the last couple of years, it's become really prominent that authors as the focus instead of the icons or the just the short stories themselves. But it is a problem that I want to fix, and I want to change that, because as we have seen, people don't seem to understand. It's a good idea to credit people who make things.
Ordinarily.
Yeah. So, Rare Horror recently on Twitter posted an image of somebody's Etsy needlework for a Samara wall hanging from the movie The Ring.
Which, I might add, was a relatively clever design.
Oh yeah,
of having the hanging. That I don't really know the name of those, but the circle needlework things, having her crawl out of it. it was nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Um, and you know, somebody came up and was like, "Hey, maybe you credit the artist." And then they were like, "How about you go fuck yourself?"
There
And
was a lot of very unprofessional language being thrown around.
there really
A
was.
lot.
So,
A lot.
so Rare Horror, um, stated that they do not tend to give link backs to where they found stuff or credit authors, artists, in their tweets because it, quote, makes them look like an advertisement.
Which we should also say is basically like a majority of the things that they post are just images that they have found elsewhere of other people's work. That's primarily what they do is just it's a repost account primarily focused on horror.
Yeah, and so it's stuff like this that you really see a lot of the mindset of not crediting things because you're just like farming and retweet farming.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you know, for a 90 something thousand follower base on Twitter, you'd think they'd have more sense to be like, well, here you go, bloop, because it's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
No. Their response was, it's really easy to Google stuff.
Which I love that in response to that kind of thing, because if it's that easy, why didn't you do it?
Because they don't want their stuff to appear like an advertisement, which is funny because
Mm-hmm.
smart people who went on the now deleted rarehorror.com, their website, you could click a little link. I think it was in the sidebar
Mm-hmm.
to promote your stuff. You could pay them money to have them tweet out some links.
Which I don't totally remember in terms of the time frame, but I think it had something to do with it being like the pinned tweet for I think 2 weeks or something. And something to do with more continuous tweeting. And these price tags that they attached to this were like $20 and $80. So for individual tweets, I don't know how much tweets are worth, but that sounds like a lot of monies to me.
Yeah, which is funny considering the fact that they said they didn't want their tweets to look like advertisements because
Hmm. Hmm.
they said it wouldn't make them go viral.
Hmm. Which is also an interesting claim because if that is what they're selling, then they are basically self admitting that buying these tweets is not worth the price tag.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
So
I'm.
yeah, they were basically uh whenever someone would hand them over money, they would credit them and only them.
Oh, of
If
course. That's how you
if
do
they
it.
found random, because they wouldn't want, that's really the only like differentiating feature between the paid for tweets and the not paid for tweets. So you wouldn't want to get them mixed up because then there would be no point for people paying for it.
Yeah. Okay. So now I'm gonna throw this image up. Somehow I'm gonna figure this out.
Mhm.
This is the tweet from Rare Horror. Nice art piece on Etsy. Samara from The Ring. And then somebody else responds, guys, credit the artist. Then Rare Horror responds, we intentionally don't because it makes the tweet look like an advertisement and people are less interested. It's easy to search for and find the stuff we share. And then they go on. There's a shit ton of public domain photos we share that would do just as well in terms of likes and retweets. People harassing us for giving people free advertising is hilarious. We don't
Mm.
make a profit off this. We do it because we like horror. Fuck off, moron.
Again, very professional behavior.
Yeah, no. Um That's super great. How about we no longer share anything on Etsy instead? We're providing free advertising to them. Anyone who has half a brain can search for and find the stuff we share from there. We don't make a profit doing this. We do it for fun. So if you don't like it, please fuck off. You're a fucking moron. We do this for fun, not profit. If you want to find the stuff we share, it's really, assuming you have half a brain, we are providing free advertising. Relax, moron. It's easy to search Etsy for the art piece if you half a brain. We post a direct link to it. It looks like an advertisement and doesn't do as well. So the artist is better off if we don't directly credit them. You know. Duh. Obviously.
And for the record, putting link doesn't make something look like an advertisement, at least to me. And there's also a big difference between linking directly to a site and just crediting the artist. Just mentioning them by name. That's, when it comes to credit, that's all you really need to do most of the time.
Yeah. And these tweets come from Katie Stebbins, who has thoughtfully collated this, I believe. So thanks to them. They continue their little screed. You're the reason we mostly ignore our comments. You're as dumb as a brick. We have 96,000 followers and you have 111. For a reason. So, you know, it's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh, here it is. Here's the promote your horror project. This is from their website. Are you looking for additional ways to get eyes on your horror-related project? We are now offering 2 custom tweets on our highly popular Twitter account for just $25 USD. For $80, you can get 2 tweets and a pinned tweet on top of our profile page for a 1-week period. The tweets can feature your movie trailer poster or any other type of graphic and link. We have built up a large audience of loyal, horror-obsessed followers who love our content and trust our recommendations. And then they go on to throw up their Twitter stats for a typical month. Dread Central popped up. Then Rare Horror accused them of stealing their content. And then the real fun started.
It escalates a lot.
Oh, man, it just keeps going. Rare Horror DM'd the original creator of the Samara thing, Stab and Stitch.
Yes, which up until this point, I don't think they ever mentioned her by name, even then.
No.
They just continued to say the artist.
No. They completely refused.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just galling. And so, they DM'd her. And was like, just prove I'll tell everybody that you don't hate me. And they're like, I joined Twitter for this. I don't know who you are. And they're like, blah, blah, blah. And then that's great. That's great.
Which her stance on the matter initially was that things were getting a little bit out of hand with people commenting. But she did agree that credit would be nice.
Yep.
And they should maybe consider doing that from now on.
And they didn't. Of course they didn't.
No. And they very much misinterpreted what she was saying and continued to spout that, like, oh, they were totally fine with how we handled things from the start, so you guys should be fine too. No, she kind of wasn't.
Yeah. No. But then...
Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot of but-thens in this story.
Oh, yeah. But then, shit escalated quickly, and everyone was getting mad that they were acting a fucking goddamn moron. And then this image comes from Stab and Stitch. This is a screenshot of their direct messages from Rare Horror. You have not done us any favors. We'll never share another post of yours. We do this for fun. All you have done is cause us a lot of hate and grief. You cost us 1,000 followers today because you tweeted about your art for free. We did not make a dime from this, so thanks for fucking us in the ass for doing a kind deed. And then they block her, which is just fucking 4D underwater chess levels of brilliant.
She did nothing. She didn't do anything. Like, all these other people were hounding them to credit them, but she was mostly saying on the sidelines, just popping in to briefly say, yeah, I did this. It would be nice if I got credit, and maybe you should credit other people too sometimes. And no. They put the blame on all of this happening squarely on her shoulders, and no.
That only escalated things to nuclear fucking Armageddon. Because this is all happening in, like, what, the span of a day?
Yeah.
Because by
it was basically a single day that all of this went down.
It was a wild ride. Because I took, like, the week off of work because it's the summer and slow, and so I was just watching this fucking Twitter account burn itself to the ground. And
just standing around watching this massive dumpster fire.
And so the next day, people awoke, and at Rare Horror had 0 followers and 0 tweets. And so, wow, they scrubbed themselves. No. What they had done is they had changed their handle to @Rarer Horror, and then recreated Rare Horror as a brand new account to hide the fact that they went and tucked their tail under their legs, and they slammed the lock on both accounts, which is really, honestly, whenever you're on Twitter and somebody locks their account as a result of discussion or debate, they're conceding defeat. So they thought they were clever, but I don't know how, but people saw through the ruse and found a Rarer Horror and just continued to drag them through the mud until the point where they deleted Rare Horror, changed their name from Rarer Horror back to Rare Horror, and fucking what is their
man. They changed their handle, and oh boy, what a fantastic way to show that you learned exactly nothing.
Oh yes.
Their handle is back to Rare Horror again, but their name is displayed as "We're done. It's no longer fun," and their description is, "Thank a mob of trolls who decided to bash us because we posted some Etsy art that went viral and made sales for the artist. Our intentions were good."
See, the beautiful thing about this...
No.
Yeah, no. Our intentions were good. Oh, Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood.
Even with all of these people, and keep in mind, this got pretty big. Like, there were some pretty big name horror people tweeting out about this, and you know, sticking on the side of Stab and Stitch and saying you should credit people.
Oh, absolutely.
So they were absolutely in the wrong, and told so by a good majority of people, and still they're doubling down.
Oh yeah,
they learned nothing.
Absolutely freaking nothing. Like, you had all sorts of people, like all the people from Bloody Disgusting, like they all came out of the woodwork because they started shit talking Bloody Disgusting. Like, as a matter of fact, if I can find this the screen cap of it, I will throw it up right now. But they were holding a giveaway Rare Horror was, and they added the stipulation that followers of Bloody Disgusting and their employees are not eligible because they were mean to them.
Yeah, and that they were the ones that incited all this.
Yeah, obviously. Clearly. Definitely. Goodness. Which then there was somebody who popped up and was like, does Stab and Stitch own the rights or have permission to make a Samara? Because otherwise, isn't that stolen art too?
Which is certainly a gray area and is something that you could potentially debate over, but it was very, very clear that he was just trying to, muddy the water a little bit where he was on the side of Rare Horror. he made it pretty clear.
Yeah.
Pretty clear.
So that's another thing I want to talk about. Is there's a difference between sharing uncredited artwork, and that's a bad. But when you're using somebody else's art to sell a product, promote a service, something like that, that's stealing.
Let's also bring up with the fact that despite what he was claiming, Stab and Stitch did actually credit the people involved with making the ring in the description of their art piece.
Yes, which, as most listeners will not know, it started as a book. There's your fun fact for the day. It was a book before it was a movie in Japan. But yes. So when you use somebody else's intellectual property to sell something, and now this could also apply to the Samara thing. However, fair use would most likely apply, and most people, most like film producers and other non-litigious people would have a hard case, which is the point where I say I'm not a lawyer. Would have a hard case to make against this one person, because intellectual property laws and trademark and copyright infringements are something you have to pursue. It's why Nintendo violently pursues them. There was the Mario Battle Royale thing that got DMCA takedown by Nintendo's lawyer.
Got taken down already. I didn't realize that had gotten taken down already, but I know that they are very much on top of a lot of these fan projects.
Oh yeah, and do you know why? That's
good question.
Good job, great response.
Yes,
it's because it weakens your ability to sue, from what I understand. Hashtag not a liar. If you're not litigious about it, you then see somebody make a butt fuck of money, which is a totally valid and not immediately made up amount. And you're like, I'm gonna sue this one person. That one person can go turn around and be like, hey,
why didn't you do anything about them?
Look at all these other people. I made $100,000 out of this. What was wrong with them? They only made a couple thousand. You just want my money. And if I could have been smart enough to research, I could probably have listed examples, but I'm lazy, big stinky dum-dum.
Yeah, and even at that, I don't think it's largely what should be discussed in all of this.
No,
is you can argue that it's just inspired by. It's not. I don't know. I don't think that using or making something that was inspired by a different media and using it to create a very different media, like again, an art piece, a poster, a t-shirt, something along those lines. it's a very different case from just outright taking an image that you don't own and putting it around without crediting who it belonged to.
Yeah, because as far as I know, despite how quick to DMCA and sue Nintendo is, I've never heard of any fan artist or any like Etsy person or any T-shirt seller who makes their own art for it ever being told you can't sell that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of it. It probably exists, but
I mean, I think the closest thing to was I believe Toby Fox, creator of Undertale and Deltarune and all that, has said that I believe his statement was that he doesn't want uh s- things relating to his game being sold on like a more mass scale, like on t-shirt websites.
yeah,
But
that
I
makes sense.
believe he said that he's okay with more con based uh stuff being sold on a more individual basis. That's the closest thing that I can think of.
Yeah, and fair use is also why you have people. You just look on YouTube right now, and I'm sure somewhere
Mhm,
on the homepage, maybe it's in your subscriptions, maybe it's not, but there's definitely somebody who is doing a cover of some Nintendo song, and that's
mhm,
perfectly legal. And then you can sell that. You
mhm,
don't own the rights to that, but you do own the transformative rights to what you have made, because otherwise YouTube would be fucking bereft of. There's a channel I recently saw where he's got like the 4 levels of the playing a game song on a violin, and it's pretty wicked. Um, you should check it out. I don't remember the YouTube name, but I'll put it in
I'm
the
sure you'll link it
description.
somewhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the description. All the links to the things I talk about will be in the
Mhm,
description.
mhm,
Um, but like you wouldn't be able to do stuff like that if there was not some leeway in the provisions of fair use.
mhm, mhm. So it's certainly a little bit of a gray area, but what Rare Horror did was certainly a lot more black and white.
Yeah, when you take something else that somebody has created lawfully, be it, something based on something else.
Mhm,
Or, as the next person we're going to talk about, or the next two individuals, not really individuals, but groups of people, uh,
mhm,
Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts, and Instagram accounts. When
mhm,
you take other people's original content and you use them to promote a service, to sell a subscription, or to sell somebody else's book, you are committing theft. You
mhm,
are using somebody else's intellectual property without request, without permission, without right. You are illegally implying that this person, well, you are falsely implying, rather, that this person has any
mhm,
involvement in this.
mhm.
And a thing about Rare Horror is their tweets had an implied value. They said it themselves. The
Yes.
tweet about the Samara thing was an ad, whether they want to call it that or not. When you say the value of this tweet, or you say we generated sales, look at this, and you have at the same time on your website something that is trying to sell you based on their ability to generate sales and traffic, when they link things, they used her image in essence to try to sell their service. And if you were a clever lawyer, I'm sure you could sue them for it. Because that is taking something somebody else has created and using them to sell your product.
Mhm.
And as Sonic would say, that's no good.
It's sure not.
But that does lead us into the other two groups
Mhm.
who have also been committing similar sins.
So Cleric, how about you begin by telling us how you stumbled across this first tweet that you found? Because I honestly don't remember.
Oh, Beth, I do not remember either. I don't
Okay.
even remember which tweet you're talking about.
Okay.
I'm a little
Okay.
dumb baby.
So I this happened. This rare horror thing was relatively recently, like say within the week, I think, or maybe last weekend. I think it was last weekend. Either way, this particular incident we discovered happened last month or so when I don't totally remember why Cleric had showed this to us, but I think it might have actually been talking about the story that was attached to it or like the brief little synopsis that they had. But he shared a tweet that creepypasta.com had made where they were advertising a story on their website that had been posted recently and had a image attached to it. And as soon as that was posted, a lot of people in the shared server that we are in um, recognized it as somebody else's.
Yes.
And on further investigation, they were right. A Mr. Slimy Swamp Ghost had made that image,
Oh, I remember this
and
now.
yes, and creepypasta.com had taken it and slapped it up to coincide with their synopses.
And mind you,
So
that this image
a
is
lot of people.
largely
Mhm.
unrelated. As I recall, it's an unrelated image. You're gonna see a lot in these things where you just find a spooky looking image that's meant to grab the attention, and you just slam it up there. But go on.
My internet cut out, so I missed all of that.
Don't worry about it. Continue.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people in this server decided to make a comment about this, saying, "Hey, maybe you should credit this person," or in my case in particular, asking Slimy Swamp Ghost outright, "Hey, are you aware that these people are using your image probably without your permission?" And a lot of people dogpiled on them. And
No.
uh, the next day, I came to realize that this was very, very far from an isolated incident.
Oh, was it
Uh,
ever?
was it ever? I scrolled back months and months and months, and there were tons of pieces of artwork and photographs that they were using to advertise their website. And in connection, I also found that uh the I don't really know what you would refer to them as, like audio drama community, I guess. Uh
Creepypasta.com version 2, Electric Boogaloo.
um Chilling Tales for Dark Nights was posting very, very similar tweets. Not A lot of them were identical, but Chilling Tales was tweeting a lot more of them. And so I went on a little bit of a journey.
A
Because
little bit.
a little bit, a little bit. I spent a long time going through every single art piece that they had posted, backward searching it through Google and other means, and commenting underneath it, both crediting who that person was that drew it in the first place, and asking if they got permission to post their art. And a lot of people, whenever I had the opportunity, I checked to see if the artists that I found had their own Twitter pages. And whenever they did, I tagged them in it saying, "Hey, do you have this person's permission?" And a handful of them actually responded and said, "Hey, no, they don't." They absolutely do not. And through doing this, I found a lot of very, I mean, all of this is very scummy to begin with.
Oh
Don't get me
yes,
wrong,
quite.
but I found some even extra scummier practices. Um, so I found one piece by a artist called Omega Black, which I had actually recognized their work due to seeing another artist that I follow retweet their stuff, and um, how they handle signing their art is they have this very pentagram-esque logo that they often incorporate into the drawing in some way, like carve it, because it's horse related stuff, obviously. So carving it into like the flesh of a character, or carving it into wood, having it an actual part of the drawing rather than just putting a signature on it. And one of these tweets that creepypasta.com had made cropped it out
Oh yeah.
because it was at the bottom. So that's extra scummy. Um, and the worst offender that I had found was this tweet was on both creepypasta.com as well as Chilling Tales for Dark Nights' respective Twitter pages, where they were uh, advertising a book by K. Banning Kellum, where they had a art piece based off of H.P. Lovecraft's work, and shockingly enough, if you click on the Amazon link that they had for this book, you didn't see that art anywhere.
Oh no,
And
that was
on
completely unrelated.
for this artwork, mhm, in backward searching for this artwork, I managed to find that it was actually created for a book of its own.
Yes.
A illustrator, which if you give me a brief moment, I can find the name of. Which it is French, so I will more than likely butcher it. But
Oof.
moment. Uh, Francois Baragner, I believe, would be the correct way to say it. Maybe. Um, he illustrated both this piece and others to go into a book that was crowdfunded based off of Call of Cthulhu. So they were using art from somebody else's book to promote another book.
Yes, and
So, mhm,
Banning was like, I had asked for you to promote this, but I did not ask for this.
mhm,
So
mhm.
this is provably something that they were actively, promoting at the behest or maybe payment. I don't know. I haven't
Yes.
talked to him, but of the author of the book.
Mhm, mhm. They had some sort of business deal, whether it be monetarily or not, to promote Kay Banning's book, and used art from someone else's book that they stole.
Yeah.
Uh, so obviously, that's not okay.
Oh goodness,
So
no.
I continued to make many tweets, many tweets, Up until if I can scroll back far enough in order to find it in particular. They finally woke up and saw the huge dumpster fire on their website. Um so
What was their
they
rational, level-headed response to this?
I know I've sent it to you, I think, so I'd have to go scroll through DMs in order to find it. If you would maybe care to cut out the dead air as well as my horribly squeaky mouse.
No, your mouse squeaks are the finest.
I don't know about that.
They sound like
I
you
don't know
have a
about
pet
that.
bird. It's very confusing when I'm not paying attention and I hear the squeaking of the mouse. I'm like,
Okay.
bird?
Okay. So, I because they had done this with multiple artists on multiple occasions. So I tweeted at them underneath their most recent drawing, saying, "I already asked this, but before, but why are you reposting at Cinema Mind David's art without his permission or credit?" And they responded, "Hi Beth, David is a friend of mine, and we've worked on many projects together. We did credit him on Facebook. However, Twitter doesn't provide a lot of space to credit, so we've added a comment to point people to his art station. We do the best we can with the medium's limitations." So obviously, what about everybody else?
They didn't have an
'Cause
agreement, duh.
exactly. Every single one of or at least a majority of the other tweets, none of them were credited, mind you. But a majority of them did not have a single comment put on them until I did it. So they obviously weren't even, because I know that that's a I don't know if I necessarily agree if that's the best way to go about it, but some people will do the initial tweet and then put credit in a comment underneath, but they didn't even do this.
I mean, it's perfectly serviceable to have credit in a reply, especially if you're
Mhm.
typing many text words.
Mhm, mhm.
But
Uh,
to not do it at all is
yes.
just a poopy head move, especially when it's arguable that you are in fact selling something. In
Mhm,
creepypasta.com's case, if you go to their website, I'm not going to because I have a head
mhm,
blocker on like a sensible human being. That I
mhm.
definitely am. I am a human being. Yes. They have just so many ads.
It is
So
littered with them.
many.
Like, it's been a while since I've been there without an ad blocker on. I mean, without one too, but
You're gonna need the fucking
um
rod of a Scleffies afterwards.
yeah. It is just littered thick with them. I'm pretty sure that I recall seeing a banner ad in between like 5 paragraphs at a time.
Oh man,
So
I think a couple months ago I went there on mobile and it was just like, my phone was like, if you keep this up, if you scroll any further, I will manifest the gun and shoot you and then myself.
it is uh on a lot of devices unusable due to how many ads are on it.
Yeah,
Um
and might I reiterate that the images that they were sharing were at best tangentially related to the story. They don't
oh
appear
yeah,
anywhere.
yeah.
They were only in there to catch people's eyes to direct them to
Mhm,
it. They were using the art to drive traffic without
mhm.
a
Like,
thought of credit. They didn't give a
oh yeah,
shit.
and in the initial tweet that we noticed, the one by Slimy Swamp Ghost, they used a drawing of a monster crossing a road, and they had like a little blurb excerpt from the story up above it, and it mentioned seeing a monster on the stairs. So it wasn't even like it's not closely related. It's very clear that they're just pulling these from elsewhere.
Oh, of course.
Um,
But, you know, their biggest, brandest move was to Fucking use something from somebody that is so immediately fucking recognizable as Slimy
Because
Swamp
he has
Ghost.
a very distinct style.
Oh yeah, no, I posted it. I think in part because I recognize Slimy Swamp Ghost. I don't think I don't think I remembered his name. I was like, because I follow him. I love their art. He inspired me to do a set of image tweets driving down roads and whatnot, where I attached spooky stories without actually editing anything in there because I can't draw for shit and I'm sad. Those two are unrelated, but also factually true.
So yeah. In response to their response, I said, "Hi. That doesn't really excuse all the other artwork you've been posting over the past few months that you surely have not had promotional deals with. I even see quite a few who are rather displeased with your lack of credit or permissions. You also don't seem to have much trouble crediting this artist in the secondary posts." Because again, they didn't bother with any of the rest of them.
Oh, of course not. Why would they?
So in response to that, Cleric started first, but he commented the first person to say, "Hey, maybe credit me," and I followed suit by commenting all of the other people who were displeased.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little bit distracting, isn't it? I commented all of the other people who were unhappy about their art being used to advertise their website, and
what was their rational, level-headed response to that?
Well, their first immediate response was to block me.
That's great. That's good. That's what you do.
Always a good sign. And Creepypasta.com seemed to take their tweets down relatively quickly after I made such a big stink. But Chilling Tales for Dark Nights, I was blocked by them pretty much immediately after Creepypasta.com did. And I got, and still yet to have gotten any response out of them. And it seems like all of the stuff on Twitter has been taken down now, but it took them at least a week. Because I checked back again later, and they still had all of the infringing art up. Should I go through and read this message that I sent back to them on via email and Facebook respectively?
Sure, go ahead. As long as
All
you
right,
send me the image so I can throw it up now.
It should be in your DMs already, but I can send it again, certainly.
Coolio.
There it is now. Good evening. I'd like to first of all state that I appreciate your efforts to delete the plethora of uncredited and unpermitted adverts on your Twitter feed. It's a step in the right direction, and I'm glad to see that unrelated artists are no longer being attributed to tweets that they had no authorization of. However, I must say that your behavior over the past few months, as well as in the past few hours, has been extremely unprofessional. It should certainly be the site owner's responsibility to not just credit artists by name, but to first and foremost ask their permission before anything is done with their content. As an artist myself who has found their work stolen and and used for means I never tolerated or intended, it is extremely discouraging, and I can't imagine what it must be like for someone to have their work used to promote something that they will see no revenue from. It was especially repulsive to see someone's painting that was meant to be featured in a book of their own to be used to promote someone else's. Most of the time, these images you chose to either have very little or nothing to do with the stories you were forcibly connecting them to. Cropping out signatures and watermarks is an even worse act, as it further prevents those curious about their source from finding it. It isn't the type of actions I would expect out of someone who is. It was. Jeez. This isn't the type of actions I would expect outside of someone who is new to the internet and is under the impression that everything within Google Images search results is royalty free. Blocking me for identifying this problem is also extremely uncalled for. A more appropriate reaction certainly would have been to agree that it would have been more courteous to seek out the permission of these artists and to delete all of the incriminating posts without further denial. I can see even now that not all of these tweets have been removed. And further still, that the tweet made after blocking me neglects to add any semblance of credit to the original creator. Not even your Facebook page, like you implied, has any credit for these people. And we'll get to that in a minute. Please reconsider your actions to continue sharing these art pieces without permission. Even blocked, I will take every avenue at my disposal to ensure that the original creators are aware of your inappropriate use of their personal work. It is inconsiderate, and I'm certain that I'm certain if of your own work was shared, I can't type sometimes, out of your control and used to promote things you had no part in and profit from it, you would also be upset. As someone who also regularly interacts with people involved in the creepypasta, I will ask them collectively to refrain from using your website as a source for the reading. I am not interested in supporting a website that is this disrespectful to creators outside of the author circle or those that look out for them. And I will ensure that those I know abandon your services. Thank you for your time, and I hope that you ultimately make the right decision. That got a big fat scene in response. They didn't say anything to me. After about a month, after this rare horror nonsense came to fruition, I decided to check up and see how things were going in a lot of different places. So I I checked on Twitter and found that seemingly all of those incriminating tweets were gone. And from here on out, to promote their website, they have been using stock images or nothing at all, which is a lot more appropriate. But on creepypasta.com's Facebook page, they still have all of the Facebook posts with all of these images that they've stolen on them, including the one that both Banning and the other illustrator had asked them to take down on Twitter.
Yes.
That one is still there.
Banning has repeatedly asked them to take that down.
And he after mentioning it, he is brought up several times on many occasions, explicitly stating that when he said to take it down, he meant on all social media platforms.
Yes.
So that's continued to be a problem. And on the Chilling Tale side, again, it took them a lot longer, but all of the stuff on Twitter is down. But on their Facebook page, I found, the exact same posts, of course. But I also decided to investigate a little bit further to try and test out the limitations of Google's backwards image search, because I saw that our good old friend Omega Black again, with his very, very prominent and specific signature watermark. I found it in one of their thumbnails that they use to promote their audio dramas, which go up on I think iTunes, the website, on YouTube, a whole bunch of different places.
Yes.
And obviously that's that's very much selling and promoting their service. And a lot of their narrations are locked behind like a monthly paywall.
Correct.
That one in particular, I think, was.
I believe it's $5 a month.
Okay, yeah.
That's
so
lowest
yeah,
tier.
they are and I checked with a fair few of other thumbnails when I got around to it, and they have been using a lot of people's art, not just in because a lot of what they would do is just post the image and say, hey, check this out, and link something unrelated.
Yes.
But these ones are baked into their service.
Oh yeah, no,
They
they are in there. They're hard
Yes,
coded
they are
into like the
deep in there.
thumbnail.
And I have seen a handful of Chilling Tales' videos in the past on YouTube, and how they used to go about things was have a stock art or stock image with text that they've added to it just as the thumbnail, and for the video itself they would just have like stock footage of like a campfire or something. And I believe that they are doing something very similar,
Yeah,
of having like a black background or just like their logo on some kind of free texture or something like that.
yeah, because
Um,
YouTube is fucking broken, and the YouTube algorithms or whatever deprioritize static images over
mhm,
moving stuff. So,
so
I
you have to have
checked.
something moving
Yeah,
in
I
there.
checked one of their recent videos that had stolen artwork in it, and it was nowhere in the video. At
Yeah, they're
no point,
not.
they're
They're
just the
nowhere in it.
thumbnail. They're
It's only
absolutely
the
just the
thumbnail.
thumbnail. Yeah, they're
So
supposed to
they are using other people's art to incite them to click on it.
drive
Um,
traffic, add revenue, a website
exactly,
clicks. You
exactly,
know, it's generating money off of something somebody else created without giving
exactly.
them any portion of that, without feeding back into the artist. So that
Mhm.
you're basically stealing their art to use for your own purposes.
Exactly. So, um, creepypasta.com has primarily stopped doing this in their new posts. It's just in the backlog that they have, um, which is very interesting that they have the time to over the past um few days or so continue to post memes, but not address the plethora of comments that they've been getting on
Why would you?
Francois's art saying, "Hey, you stole this, take it down, please."
Yeah.
Um, but uh, to my knowledge, on uh, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, their website, Chilling Tales for Dark Nights is continuing to do this. They are still taking art from other people and putting it in thumbnails to advertise their videos and their subscription service.
Which is really heartbreaking to me as someone who actually give them dollars. I'm strongly considering no longer giving them my $2 a month,
Mhm.
because that's what it used to be. It used to be $2 a month, just $2, just $2, and you just turn off that pesky ad block. Because they put up that heartfelt, whatever you want to call it, YouTube video about how they were just you don't support us, you just watch the videos and give us money, and it was like,
It's been a lot more than one.
yeah, no.
It's been a lot more than one.
Well, for an organization who is, charging a subscription for
Mhm.
to access an archive of audio dramas, and they're not low quality by any stretch of the imagination. They're very good. I enjoy them. Um, they can literally afford artists. They've done it before.
Yeah, I used to be subscribed to them back a few years ago, and they would regularly commission a handful of artists to do thumbnails for them. Not all the time. They would sometimes occasionally use stock art, but whenever they needed like custom art to fit with a certain story, they would use art that they had paid for that was meant to do this. So they obviously by some stretch have some money to go towards this, or
Yeah.
again just use stock art. It's something that has come up since then that has warranted them feeling like they can just take any art that they find that's spooky and just slap it in a thumbnail
The
or
love of
promotional
money, my
thing.
dear boy. It's because thumbnails and stuff like this with faces on YouTube do really well, and it's the
Mhm,
same with anywhere else. If you have an eye-catching image, doesn't matter what it is,
mhm,
because let's break it down. Really and truthfully, the reason why they're using these is because they generate traffic. Just like with rare horror, it makes them more viral, despite, you know, the misuse, the gross misuse of that term. It makes them more popular. And honest to God, when rare horror is like, you know, it's really easy to find that. Sure, for you, a service that is sharing art, ostensibly not selling anything. For somebody sharing, just straight sharing interesting artwork, it's easy. It's easy to search for that. But when you're a narration channel, nobody gives two squirts of fucking piss about where this art is coming from. Nobody, I guarantee you that fucking nobody, but like the handful of people who have given a shit about this, you and me, and then everyone else we have incited into this by talking about it, nobody else gives a fuck. Nobody else has given it a half of a thought.
Because, I mean, again, with me up until this point, I had just assumed that if they had art drawn for their thumbnails, then they would have just commissioned someone, because that's something they've done in the past.
Yeah, and I'll be perfectly.
So I had no reason to believe that they were stealing art up until now.
I'll be perfectly fucking honest. I have followed, still follow, Chilling Tales and Creepypasta.com because, you know, it's just fucking my job. I gotta be on top of this. And I've never even given it a thought until I noticed Slimy Swamp Ghost stuff. Nobody thinks about this. Nobody looks at these channels and goes, I wonder who this artist is. No, nobody gives a fuck. They're here to listen to the stories because the art has absolutely no fucking impact on the story, and it's usually tangentially related, as I've said. So they're just blatantly using other people's artwork to generate traffic, add revenue, clicks, promote themselves to YouTube's busted-ass algorithm. And as Sonic says, no good.
It is exceptionally scummy, because I personally have had people steal my art before. Primarily websites that think it's stock art for some reason.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, to my knowledge, nobody's actually made a profit off of my stuff before, and I can't imagine how I'd feel learning that out, where someone has, like, I don't know how much money both Chilling Tales and Creepypasta.com makes on their website regularly.
A butt fuck of money.
Yeah, it's presumably a lot, and these thumbnails and artwork that they're using to promote clicks has most definitely contributed to at least some of that.
Oh, definitely.
And these artists are not going to see a dime of it.
No. And I know they're making a butt fuck of money because, as Chilling Tales for Dark Night recently tweeted, they helped redesign the Creepypasta.com homepage. So,
which, again, very interesting that they would credit the designer of the website by name, but none of the artists.
Yes, no. So, I always figured that Chilling Tales and the .com were in bed together, but now I have proof. They're basically the same people, is my headcanon. I can't prove that, but they do share similar fonts when they make images. They use each other's stuff interchangeably. They're basically, I do believe that the .com even links back to Chilling Tales and in some of their stuff. And so
and their social media stuff, aside from the very audio drama specific stuff that Chilling Tales does, they are interchangeable. The text and the images were exactly the same.
Oh yeah, no. Same style of image posting, same like no. And it's like, obviously you guys have money at this point. It's clear. If y'all are working together in this level to interchangeably link people between your two websites, drive ad revenue for one, ad revenue for your YouTube channel, promote that YouTube channel on the .com, link people to the subscription on Chilling Tales, and you're making a butt fuck of money. And there's no two ways about it. You can afford artists. You can afford.
You have afforded artists.
Yes. And as I have stated, there's sites like Unsplash, I believe it is, and Pixabay, and those are completely fucking royalty free. And I use the shit out of them because I'm a broke bastard.
There are tons of resources out there that have royalty free images and sometimes art that you can use in thumbnails and as promotional stuff, which, I mean, maybe not in terms of artistic talent per se, but they're pretty comparable with what they were stealing already. A lot of the stuff that I found out of a cursory search would be pretty appropriate in a narration channel thumbnail. And yeah, there's no real excuse to be using stuff that doesn't belong to you like that.
No, especially when you're making a profit, and probably a large profit margin.
Yes.
And even when I use like royalty-free images, I still credit everyone involved because it's the right thing to do, and I'm a good boy.
Exactly.
And speaking of crediting people, we also came across in our search, well, you did, another channel that was using Omega Black's work, Bebusta. But what did they do?
They credited them.
Do you know why they credited him? Because they asked for permission, and he said yes. Hey, kids, it's really easy to do. All you have to do is ask. What's the worst they're going to say? No, you can't profit off of my art for free. Gives me the monties.
Yeah, that's the worst they're going to say, is no. That's really all that it takes.
Yeah, it's like asking somebody out. The worst they're going to say is no, or laugh at you. You know, probably laugh at you. You're a website asking people out on a date so you can take their art and make money. That's weird. Don't do that. It's no good. Well, yeah. So this all really started with just big brain moves all around with Rare Horror. The straw that broke the camel's back was an Etsy needlework, and somebody asking them to please credit. And they fucking lit everything on fire and burned their entire website and Twitter account to the fucking ground. And on the other hand, you have the .com and Chilling Tales, who, in response to somebody asking repeatedly for them to credit people, will block you. They will change, but the .com did. But Chilling Tales, so insofar has not. It really, it's a not good culture, and people don't seem to realize that when you're making money and you're using stuff without permission or credit, you are doing bad, and it's a bad that could get you lawsuited. And in the case of Chilling Tales and Creepypasta.com, depending on how much money they're making, there would be a substantial case there. And so it would, you know, most people, like on YouTube, when you copyright and fringolate, it's more of a scare tactic when people, you know, copyright strike you or DMCA you, because they're not actually going to go to court, because that costs a lot of fucking money.
It's pretty costly.
But if you're making a good chunk of change, if you'll give me a second, if I can use my fingers to spell words properly.
It's hard sometimes.
Yes. Let's go. I'm just gonna take a glance at Social Blade, if it'll load. My internet's cheap like me. Don't do too good. Yeah. I was gonna try to load up Social Blade and hit. Oh, here we go. This is what I wanted. This is a live recording. This is always what I wanted. They have 1,145 uploads, 281,000 subscribers, and 33.7 million video views. Their estimated yearly earnings, according to socialblade.com, is 1.4 thousand to 21.6 thousand. They're making anywhere from $113 to $2,000 a month.
And the people that they are from that they didn't outright commission are not cent of it.
Oh no, they're not getting a diddly dime. And their video views, and I'm sure watch time are getting longer because they have like fucking 2-hour videos, and it's something you put on in the background, and that drives the YouTube algorithm, and you click it based on the creepy images. Because you're a babu and you don't know any better, and you're not using your thinky thoughts, and you don't have big boy brains yet, and so you're not actually thinking critically about stuff.
The image is driving the clicks, because all they do is just they have a title that they just slap on top of it, and sometimes not even. Sometimes it's just 5 scary story compilation video that they just have someone else's art used for.
Yeah, and then there's the Creepypasta.com YouTube channel that has 160. I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing because I'm danky. 76K subscribers, 368 uploads, and 8.64 million video views. They're making $34 to $543 a month, which is $407 to $6.5 thousand a year. So the notwithstanding Chilling Tales for Dark Night subscriber numbers, that's a hefty chunk of change.
It's also worth noting that there's a decent chunk of artists that I've found doing this kind of thing that had their art stolen. That it's not just like hobbyists or people just doing stuff by commission. Like, I've seen images being used in this promotional stuff and in their thumbnails that people are trying to sell as art prints.
Oh,
that
God.
they are taking ad revenue away from, and they're getting instead. And it's just it's really scummy, disgusting behavior.
Yeah. Now, I will say that as far as the money side, since we're talking about it, I'm sure Chilling Tales does use the money well to pump back into themselves, but it's still not legitimately acquired currency because you're still doing it off the back of somebody else's stuff.
Yeah, it's not to say that, like, I don't think that squandering their money per se. It's just that it's profit that is going to them and not the people who got them those clicks in the first place because of the art that they used.
Yeah, which is just unfortunate.
So, hey, if either of those two websites, because websites have ears, are listening at the moment, please stop. Please. I'm asking you a lot for a reason. Please don't do it anymore. It's not nice.
We're not intending to be malicious. Don't go out and attack people for this. This is not what we want. We just want credit where credit is due. Hence the name of this episode.
I mean, it is now probably.
Oh no! I wrote it on the whiteboard. It says credit where it's due because my mouth moves faster than my brain. Oh well, it's whatever I said it was, if I remember. But yeah, if you're listening, websites, please change your wicked ways. This is our calling card. As the Phantom Thieves of Art, we're calling upon you. Please stop to steal.
Yes,
at least
don't take things that don't belong to you, please.
At least to link back to your artists. Ask.
Bare minimum. Yes, ask for permission.
Because you know what artists like? Exposure, right? That's what they want. But it's free advertising, Beth. It's a valuable service they provide. They allow people to view your art with their eyes. Millions of people that wouldn't have otherwise seen it and absolutely have no fucking idea or care. But it's a nice thought.
Sure.
And so the long and the short of it is, if you're starting a YouTube channel, or you currently have a YouTube channel and you have thumbnails or background images or anything like that, and they're not credited, and you are monetizing, you are making money, or you have a patreon.com/ClericofMadness.
Nobody
knows how to spell that.
And you know that they come from someplace that isn't free.
Yeah.
Just take it down, change it, do whatever you need to do.
Ask the artist.
Mm-hmm.
Your best bet is to ask the artist if you've already used it. Ask the artist, is it okay if I keep this up? I'll credit you, I'll edit this, whatever. And if they say no, do you know what you don't do? You don't throw a shit fit and block them and call them a big stinky dum-dum, because they won't let you provide a service for them that in no way links to them or gives any information about how to find them outside of having a reverse image search on Google like Rare Horror did, because that worked well for them. It's
also worth noting that not hearing a response at all is not a yes. So, hey now.
Yike. That was a response.
Yeah, there goes my train of thought now. Yeah, if someone does not respond to you asking to use their art, don't use it anyways. Just go find something else.
Yes. Like, and if you don't know where you got it from, just put it back on the internet. Just put that back on the shelf and just find a royalty-free image.
Mm-hmm.
There are millions of royalty-free images on Pixabay.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can go and find right now. It doesn't cost you a cent. You can get them in a variety of gigantic to enormous sizes, which will fit all needs and with minimal cropping. So, just do that.
Maybe check the link in the description or multiple links.
There's a lot of links in this
for other resources. And I'm sure that there are other places that have a collection of websites where you can find any of this free stuff on it.
Yeah, there definitely are, and they're definitely high enough quality that you can use them. And the best part about royalty-free images is if you take those images that you say you find a tree and it's not spooky enough, and you go out and you spooky the shit out of that. Congratulations, laddie, you now have original content because you don't have to credit. You don't have to credit them. You don't have to tell anybody where you got this because it's just free for anybody in the world to use without attribution, and it's free to modify, remix, change. Not to say you own.
It certainly would be nice if you told people where you got the free stuff from, but if you want to take that route, you don't have to.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of royalty-free images. You're not bound by anything. All you have to do is just go, I made this. Not if you just directly like downloaded it. You can't claim ownership of that. That's not how that works.
Yeah, no.
But if you did remix it, you can go, I made this. Just mine.
It's just, that's really all it takes. Really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if you're listening, YouTube peoples of the past and future, you've used Muji's work, his music, and that's a similar situation. It's you still
Mhm.
have to credit him, but if his music was royalty free, you could take it, you could remix it, you could change it, you could alter it, you could speed it up, slow it down, make it into a vaporwave track, and then you just don't have to say anything about it. You just be like, "Here's a chilled out spook groove. I make this because it's technically yours because you took what is basically not really public domain, but yes, but actually no, and made it into something new and different
Mhm.
and unique. So there are wonderful, free, non resulting in lawsuit, potentially, or DMCA takedowns, or demonetization, or channel removal options available to you. Use them. For the love of God, use them.
Please.
Because this problem reaches far into the community, and we can change this. We don't have to be a community who just goes around willy-nilly yanking art and using and letting people who are already making money make stupid amounts of money because nobody's going to speak up about this. We don't have to be just another community where people are just willy-nilly taking art and making money. We've come together before, and we can do this again. And change takes time, but the important part is starting somewhere. And I would really like for my website, the Creepypasta Wiki, to start removing at some point in the very near future, or I'm going to have to figure out how to start removing all of this uncredited art, things that don't have any place in the story. There are stories like Little Pink Backpack that do have pictures attached to it that were the original pictures, and those would obviously stay. But removing thousands of pictures that have no credit, deleting the entire 2 image galleries, because one of them is screen capped pastas, I believe, but the Monster Gallery and the Nightmare Fugue Gallery are just exclusively going to go, because it's just hundreds of images with no credit, and it's easier to remove than to it's easier to start. Yeah, it's easier to start over than to spend the hundreds of hours it would take to go back, retrace where these came from, start emailing people. We're volunteers here. We don't make any money. I don't make any money doing this website, and I've been doing this for this is my 9th year since I started it. I don't make almost a cent from this. Yeah, almost a decade. It's dang as it could be in 3rd grade if it was a person, and thank God it isn't. But I don't make any money. None of our admins make money editing, and none of our contributors make any money editing. We do this for free, and so for our sake, and considering the fact that we don't have a subscription service, we don't have ads running that are our own, we don't have a YouTube channel that generates income. It's easier for us to just wholesale remove the infringing works than it is to spend the rest of the year trying to credit everyone, which is, I believe, a far more reasonable venture to just tag tag everything that's in those galleries, have a bot yeet the shit out of them, and then start with the over 10,000 stories on the site. Then we're going to have to go through the image gallery. The remaining images. The stories themselves. We're going to tag the images that belong with a special category. Please bot no delete us. Probably because I'm dumb. It's going to be something funny, because it's easier to be funny than it's not. And then we're going to work on removing all of the infringing art, because this is a CCBY essay website, and a lot of this art is not CCBY'd or essayed. Well, it's mostly essayed, but not CC'd or BY'd. So I want to start the change. I want to be one of the first people to be like, this is something in our culture, in our community rather, that is toxic. It is negatively affecting artists, and this keeps money away from them. It only provides money for the people using it, and it's something I want to change, because that's not right on a base level. Laws aside, it's not right to use something that somebody else has created to profit. And even though, again, this website is free, we don't make anything from this. Fandom does make money. Fandom is generating income from the ads that they do display. And so to avoid my parents from yelling at me and putting me in my room with no dinner, I would rather clean up my room than have the FBI come and arrest me.
Yeah, that seems like a more...
That metaphor really got away
reasonable
from me.
Thing.
Yeah. So, Chilling Tales, creepypasta.com. Credit your artist. Ask for permission first, if nothing else. Credit your artists.
And again, would recommend going through, just credit or get rid of all of the stuff that uses art that you've taken from elsewhere on your social media, and swap out your thumbnails for something else. Because again, it has no presence in any of the videos or any of the other content that you've made. So it really should just be an easy process to just replace the thumbnail art with just anything else.
Yeah. So do the right thing. Do what's morally and legally right. Change your wicked ways. This is our calling card to you. We will take your art. Well, heart. Why are we calling ourselves the Phantom Thieves of Art? We're not the ones stealing it. Are we stealing it back? I didn't think this too far through, did I? Anyway, this has been Clerical Errors. I have been Cleric of Madness. Is this the part
where I sign off?
Yeah.
All right. I'm Beth.
And if you like what I am doing with these podcasts and what with the awareness I've been raising of things and my own stuff, please go to patreon.com/ClericofMadness and consider, supporting your boy Cleric. I love you. And I will also throw a link to Beth's Patreon somewhere in the description. Welk.
I make art and I make things move sometimes. That's how I spend my hours.
I spend my hours shirking my response. I spend my hours well not recording YouTube videos. Somebody beat me with the stick until I do. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something. I hope, your eyes have been opened to what is happening, and be the change.
Eat your vegetables.
Oh, spicy. Ciao.
Bye.